We live in a technological era, which means students usually prefer the PDF format of textbooks rather than the actual hard copy. Almost every student carries an electronic device with them nowadays, whether it be smartphones, laptops, tablets, etc., thus providing faster access to the PDF format while also being more portable at the same time.
University where our money's going. And some of these sectors include application fees, tuition fees, living costs, transportation, and health insurance. The last thing we need is to lose a lot more money. That's where textbooks come in. Textbooks is where most of our money is already being gone each semester. And according to the BLS, which is the Bureau of Labor Stats, textbook prices have risen by 6% since 2011, and it seems like it's nothing, but it's actually a big difference. And according to a recent college study, students spend approximately $1,200 a year just on textbooks, on top of all these other fees where I've listed before. And only 77% of students actually buy the required textbooks. And 23% actually say their profs don't even use these required textbooks, which they say are necessary for courses. And 22% say they can't even afford these textbooks, even after all these things that are offered by the government and schools, including OSAP, grants, and scholarships.
Course. Half the challenge of selling their textbook is finding a seller. The other half is getting fair value for what they paid for the book in the first place. Some students are not willing to buy used textbooks, taking away a large percentage of those who would be willing to buy one specific seller's textbooks, making finding someone to sell to exponentially more difficult. Many new textbooks retail for over $150, some over $200. Finding someone who is willing to pay such a high price for a used textbook has a high degree of difficulty associated with it. When textbooks have an online code that is mandatory for the course, selling the textbook becomes even harder, and the seller might be forced to sell a textbook for $60 that they originally bought for $200. There's also the possibility of reaching a verbal agreement with someone. Only to find out a few hours later that another seller undercut your price. All these components go into selling textbooks, and they become increasingly difficult to sell the longer one waits to sell.
And expensive the textbooks are. I'll introduce some ways we can sell our textbook. One way is to sell the books to someone that we know, whether it be a friend or another acquaintance. If we are unable to find someone who is willing to buy the book, there are many large Facebook groups that are organized for buying and selling textbooks. Anyone can post what books they are looking to buy or which book they are selling. It makes finding buyers easier, and the buyer and seller can talk to find a price that can both agree on. If both of those options are unsuccessful, the campus also has a buyback stand where students can sell their textbooks back to the school.
Buyback feature which allows students to sell their books back to the campus stores where you will receive your money. You will think this feature is very useful as you will be getting your money back for the money you spent on your books, but this is false. As a student who has used this feature and has probably spent over $300 last term on textbooks, getting only 55% cashback isn't that much compared to selling it by using alternate ways than using the buyback feature, like selling it to a friend or a person, as you will be getting more back.